let's move here, actually, because we obviously, it seems like every other week, I don't know, we're talking about some politician, be it Gavin Newsom. We talk about Lori Lightfoot, whatever that woman's name is. We talked about, who else did we talk about? Oh man, it's so many. We talked Cuomo. We obviously talk about Cuomo and him, before the Thanksgiving thing, talking about meeting up with his family, and stuff of that nature. We had been speaking basically on politicians, also even within Hollywood, and people that lecture folks basically to do something and then they do another. Okay, so now we got to move on because, well, it happened again. It absolutely happened again, believe it or not. So this is going to be a good one. I know we just mentioned Nerd Erotic, my big homie Nerd Erotic. I actually sent this story to him before I covered it. But we got a scoop. Journalists actually deciding to do their job. Gavin Newsom wasn't the only one to attend the first fancy birthday dinner at the French Laundry last month. San Francisco Mayor London Breed joined a socialites dinner there the next night. So hold on. Well, think about this. Okay, imagine this. All right, you go do whatever it is that, in this case, obviously it's going out there and eating and linking up with the other fellow elites. And then the next night you ban indoor dining. Or rather, let's say in 3 days later, you ban indoor dining in San Francisco. So not too far between, basically, they had both been there. Mayor London Breed. So what had happened here, can I not read this anymore? Oh, that's whack. I can't read it anymore. I read it earlier. All right, there we go. Okay. Everybody's doing the subscription thing these days, which I'm not mad at. I get it. Folks are trying to make money, and okay. Well, basically, long story short, we can't unfortunately read the actual article. But it goes back to the million of different times that I've told you here on the show and here on the channel and here wherever you hear me talk. These guys play by a different set of rules. Okay? That's all it is to it. They play by a different set of rules. So to not take that into consideration when someone advocates, be it a lockdown or something of that nature, to not take that into consideration is naive. It's gullible. Borderline stupid, if not actually stupid. Mainly because you guys present these people as heroic, caring individuals that are just trying to protect the individuals that they claim to serve, which is bullcrap. This whole thing has been political. This pandemic there's been a lot of politics being played. It was election year as well. We know how that and then people would seemingly try to ruin their own economies in the event of trying to take a stab at the current president or benefit more so the future president. It is that ugly. But as it pertains to the lockdowns, you have to understand that these guys are playing by a different set of rules. Those only apply to you. You're the peasant. Now, it's not just like that with politicians, like that with Hollywood elites as well. And how they lecture. We talk about even in, going back to California. Gavin Newsom, what does he do? He says, hey, you guys are exempt. Damn be everybody else and all the gym owners and everybody else who I guess deemed non-essential. You, though, as entertainers, you can do whatever it is that you want to do. Well, there's some slight restrictions, which, of course, are going to be ignored. And that's just going to be what it is. Imagine shooting a movie or something like that, having to social distance and all that. We already know how this works. The restrictions don't apply to them, though. That way they were exempt from it. And here we have another instance where the actual the actual San Francisco mayor, London Breed, was eating at the same place that they caught. And, he apologized, Gavin Newsom, but I don't think he apologized because he actually gave a damn or was actually sorry. No, he apologized because he got caught. Because if he didn't get caught, you wouldn't have ever known. Because that's how they operate. sometimes in the shadows, and sometimes out front, where they spit in your face and say, yeah, I did it, and then you do absolutely nothing about it. And we're having this sort of cow legs that I keep mentioning neurotic because, you know, being formerly in San Francisco, and making his way to get the hell up out of there. And I'm glad he's getting the hell up out of there, because these guys are not only insane people, I believe they are actually evil people. Right, it's one thing to be crazy as hell, because then you can kind of write off the bad behavior. You can write off the actions of these people when you can just say, well, that person's loony, but they're evil. And they tell you, yeah, I did it. Now what? This doesn't end until we get mass forms of civil disobedience, people. And we're starting to see that, and thank God we are starting to see this. They were going to try to trap you into your house going into the next holiday in the Christmas, and in December, obviously, and they're still going to continue to lecture you. But we already know what they're doing. We have way too many examples of politicians. We talked about Nancy Pelosi. That's the one that I forgot to mention earlier. She getting her hair done, and she's sitting here talking about it's a setup. It's a setup. No, bro. It's just you guys know what you're doing and you are upset that you guys get caught. So that brings me back to the American people, and that brings me back to the people of San Francisco, the people of California, which a lot of the hypocrisy seems to take place there more than anywhere else, maybe because a lot of elites live there. A lot of elites are getting out, but a lot of elites live there. How long will it take for you guys to understand, the people that will live within these areas, to understand that your best interest is not in the mind of the politician? The politician's best interest is in the mind of the politician. And that's where the buck stops. So how long are people going to sit here and continue to listen to everything it is that they say, continue to do everything it is that they want you to do? When will you get it? When will it start to click that these guys, and I know it sounds as cliche, don't give a absolute crap about you? And it's an important thing for you to get, because we can move on. The only reason why we've been doing this since March, believe it or not, it seems like an eternity ago, because largely was. You can think about the thousands upon thousands of businesses, including restaurants in California, that are not going to get on the other side of this, because they have not closed momentarily. They've not closed temporarily. They've closed permanently. So how long do you sit here and listen to these quacks lecture you about staying safe for a virus with a 99% survival rate? And clearly the politicians who have all the medical advice in the world, the medical elites, in fact, were giving that Gavin Newsom's little dinner. There were hospital elites that were at that dinner, but they weren't too worried about the virus. They're telling you to be worried about it. They've scared you wearing it about it. And your business is closed down because of it. Your livelihood is being stripped from you, and now you are dipping into your savings. So at what point do people wake up and say, yeah, bro, no more? Because like I said, that's the only time this stuff stops. They've smelled blood. And now they know that they got you. They know that you will listen to everything it is that they do. And I know, and I believe, and I will end on this note, that it actually is going to come from small business owners who will inevitably, I think, hopefully maybe is the more precise term, actually look and will be looked at more so in the future as the group of people that got us on the other side of this. Because the big chains, the Walmarts of the world, who got a lot of wealth transferred to them because they've benefited the most from these lockdowns, the Amazons of the world. You see, those guys have absolutely no issues. They're complicit, as far as I'm concerned, complying with everything it is that they do. They're going to get their own personal exemptions when they need them as well, or individual in terms of business. And they're going to get their own exemptions, and they're going to be able to work within it, because as far as I'm concerned, they work with them. They've benefited from it. We've talked about the wealth transfer, and one of the biggest wealth transfers in recent human history that existed this past year because of this pandemic. Or no, let me take that back. Misspoke. Not because of the pandemic, because of the government's response to the pandemic. And not to the response to, oh, well, they waited too late. No, I'm talking about locking stuff down. Let me be as clear as I possibly can. I do think that small business owners, though, will be the ones that will have to lead the charge on this and have to say, you know what, bro, we're not listening anymore. And I think the first couple of guys are going to take the brunt of it. They're going to threaten the living hell out of you, but they can't arrest everybody. They can try, but they can't. And until we tell them to go screw themselves, you should have saw, and I thought that the pill moment was going to be when the lockdowns were being advocated, of course, and the same people that were advocating for the lockdowns were all, not excusing. I'm talking about actually authorizing these mass get-togethers in terms of, what do you call it, the like protests. I thought that would have been the time when people got it. You should have known that this game was rigged at that point. When you had nurses and doctors in their PPE outside clapping these people on as they sit there and link up right next to each other, telling you that you can't do that, but they're authorizing these protests, and these happen all across the country. I thought that would have been the moment that a lot of y'all would have got it, but they didn't get it then. And now we're moving into December, and now we're starting to kind of see a couple of people be like, you know what, no more. And I think that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to be necessary, because the bigger businesses are going to sit here and comply with everything. And I don't want to argue. I don't even want to say that they're comply. I believe that they're part of it because they're benefiting. And this is one of the largest wealth transfers in human history. But you need to look no further than these idiots who sit here and do everything it is that they tell you that you cannot do.